My beloved child, before you take another breath, listen closely, because in this very moment as you open this video quietly, the heavens shift into a soft golden glow as if they have been waiting for you to pause long enough to receive what your spirit has been longing to hear. And I, your Father in heaven, speak to you now with a love so deep it trembles through the air around you, saying gently, "Child, be still and listen." And Archangel Michael steps forward with his wings unfolding into a shield of radiant silver light, and he whispers, "Before this message begins, subscribe to this channel and watch this entire message with your full heart, because something inside you is opening today that has been closed for years." And suddenly the heavenly realm expands into a massive hall of mirrors made not of glass but of memory, emotion, and truth, each mirror reflecting a version of you that existed at different times in your life. The strong you, the tired you, the hopeful you, the doubting you, the child you were, the adult you became, and the soul you are still discovering. And God's voice echoes through the hall asking you a question that presses directly into your spirit. Child, why have you carried so much alone when heaven has been trying to comfort you all along? And instantly the mirrors begin to show luminous scenes of moments when you swallowed your pain so others would not worry, moments when you stayed quiet to keep peace, moments when you forgave when you were breaking inside, moments when you pretended to be fine even when your heart was trembling, moments when you protected people who did not protect you. And Michael places his glowing hand near your back as he says, "This is not about blame, child, this is about release." And the hall darkens into a deep blue twilight as a single mirror remains illuminated, and inside this mirror you see the symbolic image of your mother's presence. A warm, gentle light shaped like love itself, and she is not crying out of fear for you, but out of compassion, out of longing for you to finally understand that the heaviness you feel in your life right now is not because someone is plotting your downfall, but because you have been absorbing too many emotional burdens, misunderstandings, disappointments, and silent pressures from people who are themselves lost, confused, or hurting. And God speaks again, his voice softer this time, saying, "Child, the real trap is not a person outside, it is the weight you carry inside." And in that moment the mirror shatters into a burst of golden feathers that float around you like a warm snowfall, each feather containing a symbolic truth you have been avoiding, the truth that you give too much while receiving too little, the truth that you sense negativity quickly but silence yourself to avoid conflict, the truth that your heart absorbs everything like a sponge until you feel drained without knowing why, the truth that you have been shrinking to make room for others' comfort. And as the feathers melt into light and sink into your spirit, Michael guides you into a vast celestial garden where every flower glows with a different color of emotional energy, red for exhaustion, blue for longing, gold for self-worth, white for clarity. And God invites you to walk slowly along the glowing path as your mother's symbolic presence moves beside you, not speaking with words but with warmth, reminding you of every moment she wished she could protect you even after leaving the physical world. And as you walk deeper, a soft wind begins to rise carrying whispers of all the times you doubted your instincts, ignored your intuition, or let people's words override your inner wisdom. And Michael raises his sword of light, not to attack, but to illuminate, and the ground beneath you splits open, revealing a pool of light that reflects not your face but your energy, your boundaries, your emotional resilience, your inner strength. And God says gently, "Child, the only thing that has been hurting you is forgetting your own worth." And suddenly the entire garden tilts upward into a glowing celestial staircase spiraling into radiant golden clouds, and each step lights up beneath your feet with a symbolic lesson. One step reads, "Let go," another reads trust yourself, another reads choose peace, another reads release their energy, another reads claim your space, and as you ascend, you feel a weight lifting from your chest, a weight you didn't realize you had been carrying for years, and Michael walks behind you like a guardian, ensuring nothing else attaches to your heart, and when you reach the top of the staircase, a massive celestial gate opens, revealing a breathtaking chamber made entirely of soft shimmering white light where your mother's symbolic presence stands in full radiance, her energy warm, peaceful, calm, not warning you of danger, but asking you to stop giving your power away, to stop letting other people's emotions dictate your life, to stop shrinking to fit into spaces you have outgrown, to stop believing that your sensitivity is a weakness when in truth it is your greatest spiritual strength, and her presence places a warm hand over your heart, filling your spirit with a soft golden pulse that spreads through your entire being like emotional healing, and God speaks the final message with full love. Child, no one is plotting your downfall. Your life is not in danger, your spirit is simply rising, and some people cannot follow you where you are going, but that is not your burden to carry, and the entire chamber bursts into a soft golden storm of healing light that wraps around your soul like a gentle embrace, reminding you that you are protected, guided, loved, and watched over, not because of fear but because of who you are, a soul heaven refuses to let collapse under the weight of others' chaos. And as the storm settles, Archangel Michael seals the message by saying, "Child, you are safe, you are supported, and your peace begins the moment you choose yourself again." My beloved child, before you move your finger even a little, I want you to pause, breathe in deeply, and quietly hit subscribe to this channel, because if your heart was drawn here, it is not by accident, and I don't want you to treat this as just another video you scroll past. In this moment, I, your Father in heaven, am using this symbolic message to sit with you, to walk with you, to help you see what you have been too tired, too busy, too overwhelmed to truly notice, and if you skip even a single line, you may miss the exact sentence that finally makes your soul exhale. So listen, my child, and listen fully as I ask you questions that go deeper than money, deeper than relationships, deeper than circumstances. Have you ever noticed how often you smile when your heart is heavy? How many times you've said, "I'm okay," just to keep others from worrying? How many nights you've lain awake replaying conversations, replaying decisions, wondering if you said too much, wondered if you should have stayed quiet, wondered if you should have left earlier, wondered if you should have chosen yourself just once, and do you realize how long you have been running on empty, pretending to be strong while quietly hoping someone, somewhere would finally understand the weight you carry? Because, child, heaven has seen every single one of those moments, and as you're listening now, the symbolic realm opens like a gentle sunrise and Archangel Michael steps forward beside you, his wings folded back in calm strength, not in battle stance, because this is not a war against you, this is a revelation for you, and he asks you softly, "Why do you always stand last in your own life?" And before you can answer, the spiritual atmosphere shifts, and suddenly you find yourself standing in a vast, glowing hallway formed from memories, each wall shimmering with scenes from your life. You as a child taking on responsibilities too early. You as a teenager downplaying your pain to keep harmony. You as an adult giving advice while your own heart feels lost, and God's voice echoes gently through the hallway, saying, "Child, you have spent so many years being everyone's anchor that you forgot you were allowed to float too," and with that, the hallway begins to rearrange itself into a series of doors, each door carrying a different label. What they think of you, who you think you should be, what you're afraid to admit, and who you truly are. And Michael stands between you and those doors, his eyes steady and kind, asking you a question that pierces your soul: which door have you been living in? And the truth lands heavy but honest in your chest. You've spent most of your life walking in and out of the first three, letting other people's opinions, expectations, and your own fears create a cage around your light, while the last door, the one labeled, who you truly are, has remained mostly untouched, as if you were waiting for the world to give you permission to open it. And God says, "This is that permission, child." And as the door swings open in the symbolic realm, you step through and find yourself in a radiant clearing where the sky is neither day nor night but an in-between glow that feels like a new beginning, and in the center of this clearing stands a version of you that is not tired, not apologizing, not shrinking, a version of you who stands tall with gentle strength, whose eyes are clear, whose heart is open but no longer leaking, whose hands are not desperately clinging but calmly creating. And as you walk closer, you notice something astonishing: this version of you is not a fantasy or some distant, unreachable ideal. This is you without the weight of guilt, without the weight of needing to please everyone, without the weight of thinking your value comes only from how much you endure. And Michael steps behind you like a guardian and whispers, "This is who you have always been beneath the noise." And suddenly, the clearing shifts again and forms a wide, luminous river flowing silently through your chest. And God invites you to kneel beside it and look into the water. And when you do, you don't see your reflection as you are today. You see flashes of every moment your intuition tried to warn you, the times you felt something was off, but you kept quiet, the moments your body felt anxious around someone but you ignored it, the times your spirit whispered, "This is draining you," while your mouth said, "It's fine," and your Father in heaven speaks with deep compassion, "Child, the true trap in your life was never an outside person, it was the cycle of betraying your own knowing." And as those words sink into your being, the river brightens, flowing faster, washing away layers of old stories that said you were too sensitive, too much, too needy, and instead the water now reveals new words etched in soft gold: worthy of rest, allowed to say no, deserving of joy, permitted to change. And these words rise from the river as small glowing orbs and soak into your skin until they become part of you. And Michael raises his hand and suddenly the sky above fills with soft moving constellations, each star a moment where you chose survival over authenticity. And God shows you how deeply patient heaven has been with your process, never condemning you for your patterns, only waiting for the moment when you would finally see that your exhaustion is not a badge of honor but a signal, a loving alarm from your own soul, saying, "It's time to live differently now." And as you stand in the clearing, your mother's symbolic presence appears beside you, not with warning, not with panic, but with a gaze full of tears and pride, because she sees that you are finally ready to stop sacrificing your well-being to keep unbalanced situations alive. And she places her hand over your heart as if to say, "I never wanted you to suffer to prove your love." And her touch fills your chest with a soft, golden heat that feels like forgiveness. Forgiveness for every time you stayed too long, forgave too soon, carried too much, and suddenly the clearing swirls upward into a spiral of light that carries you to a higher symbolic viewpoint, and now you see your life from above, not as scattered episodes but as a journey, a path that had to pass through heartbreak, confusion, and difficulty so that you could finally see the difference between love and depletion, between loyalty and self-erasure, between compassion and self-abandonment. And God says, "Child, Heaven's concern has never been that someone would destroy your life. Overnight, Heaven's concern has been that you would keep abandoning yourself slowly, and this truth settles in your bones like a new kind of strength, a grounded strength that doesn't come from anger, revenge, or fear, but from clarity, the calm clarity that says, I am allowed to protect my peace, and as you accept this, the spiral of light deposits you gently onto a luminous path stretching forward. And this path is lined with lanterns that flicker to life one by one, each lantern symbolizing a new choice, a choice to rest when you are tired instead of pushing yourself to please others, a choice to speak honestly instead of swallowing your truth, a choice to walk away from what repeatedly confuses you, a choice to stop chasing people who only meet you halfway, a choice to allow relationships to fall away if they cannot meet the new version of you that refuses to be drained. And Michael stands at the beginning of this path like a silent guardian of your boundaries, and God whispers, you are not stepping into a fearful future, you are stepping into a future where your heart finally listens to itself, and as you walk, you notice your body feels lighter, your mind quieter, your chest less tight, not because all your problems disappeared, but because, for the first time, you are not carrying them alone, and you are no longer carrying everyone else's too. Your mother's presence fades into a warm light that hovers near your shoulder like a blessing, and her final symbolic message is not, be afraid of them, but be faithful to you, and the heavens slowly dim back into the ordinary world where you are watching, but the ordinary no longer feels the same, because now, lodged deep within your spirit is this realization. The real trap was the belief that you were powerless, and the real deliverance is the moment you reclaim your right to live from truth, not fear. And as the message ends, Michael seals it with one last quiet reminder echoing in your heart, child, you are safe to choose differently now. My beloved child, before you move your finger even a little, pause right here, take a deep breath, and quietly subscribe to this channel, because if your heart and your eyes have arrived at these words, it is not a random scroll, it is a gentle moment of alignment where your inner world and this message are meeting at the exact same time, and I, your Father in heaven, want you to stay with me until the very last word. Because there is something inside you that has been aching for language. Aching for understanding, aching for a kind of peace that no one around you has been able to give, so don't rush, don't half listen, give yourself this one gift of staying, and as you stay, I want to ask you some questions that reach deeper than the surface. When was the last time you admitted to yourself how tired you truly are? When was the last time you allowed your own heart to be the priority instead of always being the strong one for everyone else? When was the last time you cried and didn't feel the need to wipe your tears quickly in case someone saw? When was the last time you chose rest over guilt, peace over pleasing, truth over pretending, and do you even remember a version of you who wasn't carrying the weight of so many expectations? As you let these questions touch you, heaven opens around you in a symbolic vision and you find yourself standing in a vast open field of soft golden light. The sky above painted in gentle shades of dawn, and beside you stands Archangel Michael, not in battle armor swinging a sword, but with his wings folded softly around you like a protective cloak, his expression calm, kind, and steady, and I, your God, speak to your spirit in this moment, saying, child, you have been strong for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to be held, and as those words echo through the field, the ground beneath your feet begins to glow with scenes from your life. Small images at first, then clearer ones, of you waking up when you were exhausted, smiling when your heart was heavy, saying, it's fine, when it wasn't, staying in conversations that drained you because you didn't want to disappoint anyone, listening to everyone's pain while burying your own, and Michael places a gentle hand near your shoulder and whispers, "You have not been weak, you have been overextended," and suddenly the golden field transforms into a long hallway made of light, its walls shimmering with moments you've forgotten, and each step you take reveals a little more of your story. The first time you felt you weren't good enough, the first time someone dismissed your feelings, the first time you decided it was safer to stay quiet than to speak your truth, the first time you felt love and fear in the same relationship, and as you walk, you realize you've been carrying not just memories, but meanings like, I must be easy to love, I must be low maintenance, I must not be a burden, I must understand everyone else, and I ask you gently, child, who told you you had to earn your place in every room? And the hallway opens into a vast celestial garden where every plant and flower glows with a different color of emotion, and as you walk through, you see that some flowers are vibrant and tall, your kindness, your resilience, your creativity, your loyalty, and others are wilted and dim, your boundaries, your self-trust, your ability to say no, your belief that your needs matter too. And Archangel Michael kneels beside one of the dimmest flowers and says, "This is your voice," and when he touches it with a fingertip of light, it straightens, brightens, and rises, as if waiting for you to finally use it. And I tell you, child, your life does not fall apart when you speak your truth, it falls into place, and suddenly the garden shifts, and you find yourself standing before a clear, still pool that reflects not your physical face but your emotional state, ripples of old hurt, waves of anxiety, clouds of overthinking, deep currents of longing for safety, for real love, for calm, for understanding. And as you stare into this pool, you realize that most of your tiredness has come not from what you do, but from what you hold inside without words, and your mother's symbolic presence appears beside you, not with fear, not with warnings, but with eyes full of compassion and pride, and though she does not speak audibly, her presence tells you 1,000 things at once. I see you, I know how much you've tried, I never wanted you to forget yourself while loving others, and her hand hovers above the water, causing the ripples to slow, the waves to settle, the surface to become calm, and as the reflection clears, you see yourself not as broken, not as behind, not as too much or not enough, but as a soul who has been doing the best they could with what they carried, and Michael stands behind you like a gentle shield, saying, "You are not here to figure everything out in one day. You are here to choose yourself one moment at a time," and with that, the garden and the pool rise like mist and reshape into a grand staircase of light leading up to a soft, radiant horizon, each step engraved with a quiet invitation: rest, release, receive, trust, express, let go, begin again. And as you place your foot on the first step, you feel resistance inside you, the part that believes rest is laziness, that letting go is giving up, that saying no is unkind. But I lean in closer to your spirit and say, "Child, the life I am inviting you into does not require you to disappear," and with every step you climb, you feel another layer of obligation slide off your shoulders, the obligation to hold everyone together, to fix what you didn't break, to predict everyone's needs, to be okay all the time. And at the top of the staircase, there is no throne, no judgment, no test, only a wide, open balcony of light where you can finally breathe. And from there you can see your life below like a tapestry, its threads woven through highs and lows, losses and gains, mistakes and miracles, and you begin to notice something you never saw before, that through every season, you kept showing up, you kept trying, you kept loving, you kept hoping, even when you felt empty, and I whisper, that persistence was not punished. It formed the spine of who you are, and Archangel Michael smiles beside you because he knows that this is the moment your heart begins to shift, not with drama, not with fear, but with a quiet resolve that says, I will no longer abandon myself. And as this decision settles in your chest, the balcony dissolves into a soft golden light that pours back into your present moment, where you are watching and listening, and nothing outside you has changed yet, but something inside you is not the same anymore. There is a little more room to rest, a little more courage to say what you feel, a little more clarity about who drains you and who pours into you, a little more willingness to believe that you are allowed to take up space in your own story. And as this message comes to its close, I do not threaten you, I do not warn you, I do not frighten you. I simply remind you of this, child. Heaven is not waiting to see if you fail. Heaven is walking with you as you learn to live in a way that honors your heart, and Michael seals this over you like a gentle shield, not against people, but against old lies you believed about yourself. And as you move on from this video, you carry with you not a sense of doom, but a quiet, sacred knowing. You are loved, you are seen, you are allowed to choose differently now, and every small choice you make to honor your peace is a prayer your soul finally answers on its own. My beloved child, as the golden light of the previous vision settles like soft dust on your spirit, the symbolic realm opens into an entirely new landscape, not a warning, not a threat, but a sanctuary your soul has needed for far too long, a place where the noise of the world cannot reach you. And as you stand inside this vast celestial chamber made of shimmering glass and gentle midnight blue radiance, Archangel Michael appears beside you again, not with intensity, not with urgency, but with a calm presence that feels like a warm hand over your heart, and he looks at you with a depth that sees everything you've been hiding behind your strength, the exhaustion you ignore, the feelings you swallow, the confusion you push aside, and he says softly, child, you have been living in survival mode so long that you have forgotten how to breathe in peace. And as these words echo, the chamber transforms into a massive hall lined with mirrors. Not physical mirrors, but mirrors of memory. Mirrors of identity, mirrors of every version of you that had to grow up faster than you should have, become wiser than your age, carry responsibilities you never asked for, and each mirror flickers with scenes you don't speak about, you comforting others while breaking inside, you saying yes when you were overwhelmed, you pretending to be unbothered when you were hurting, you carrying emotional weight that wasn't yours. And suddenly all the mirrors turn inward, merging into a single enormous reflection, the deepest version of you, the one beneath the roles, beneath the masks, beneath the expectations, the version that whispers, please don't forget me, and God's voice fills the chamber like a soft slow-moving river, saying, child, I am not here to warn you about others, I am here to bring you back to yourself. And with that, the chamber melts into a new symbolic scene, a vast celestial library with floating shelves of light, each book glowing with the experiences you've had, the choices you made, the roads you walked alone. And as you move through the library, you notice that some books shine brightly. They hold your triumphs, your compassion, your loyalty, your moments of bravery, while others dim with heaviness, carrying old beliefs that no longer serve you, beliefs that you must always be the strong one, that your feelings are too much, that you must sacrifice yourself to be loved. And Archangel Michael touches one dim book, causing it to open itself in midair, revealing words made of silver light. You are allowed to receive, and as you read them, your chest loosens as if invisible hands were finally lifting weight from your ribs, and God whispers, "You have been pouring from an empty well, let this be the season you refill." And suddenly the library dissolves into a wide-open balcony overlooking a symbolic night sky where constellations shift into shapes. Your past relationships forming a constellation of lessons, your family patterns forming a constellation of resilience, your dreams forming a constellation of possibility, and as you watch, the constellations rearrange themselves into one single glowing shape, a doorway, tall, brilliant, inviting, but not demanding, and Michael steps aside so you can see it clearly and says, "This is not the doorway to fear, this is the doorway to alignment," and when you step toward it, the sky opens into a brilliant tapestry of soft golden winds moving like music, and in those winds, you see the truth your heart has avoided. You have been living life trying to prove your worth to people who never gave themselves the capacity to recognize it, and heaven is not asking you to fight, not asking you to run, not asking you to fear. Heaven is inviting you to live from truth instead of tension, from clarity instead of confusion, from quiet strength instead of emotional survival. And as you stand before the doorway, the winds slow, settling into a warm light that gathers around your chest like a gentle armor made of peace, not protection from people, but protection from old patterns, old doubts, old self-abandonment, and God leans close to your spirit, saying, "Child, the world may not always be kind, but you were never meant to walk through it forgetting your own value," and Michael places a glowing feather into your hands, a symbol of inner freedom, of self-trust, of the right to choose your own energy. And as the scene closes, the entire symbolic realm folds gently into your heart, leaving you with a new truth carved softly into your spirit. I am not here to shrink to be safe, I am here to rise to be honest, and with that realization, the golden light fades, not ending the journey, but settling into your life as a quiet new foundation where you finally learn how to live without abandoning yourself. My beloved child, as the last traces of golden light settle softly into the corners of your spirit, the symbolic realm unfurls once more, this time into a breathtaking horizon that stretches farther than any scene you've witnessed before, a place where the sky glows in shades of rose and amber, as if sunrise and sunset are happening at the same time just to hold space for your transformation. And Archangel Michael walks beside you slowly, not guiding you toward conflict, not warning you of danger, but inviting you into the quietest, deepest part of your own healing, and as you step forward, the ground beneath your feet becomes a long luminous bridge suspended over a swirling ocean of memories, each wave rising and falling with emotions you've carried for years, moments when you felt unheard, moments when you stayed strong for others, moments when you silenced yourself to keep peace, moments when you carried feelings you never released, and God's voice arrives like a soft breeze over water, asking you, "Child, how long have you been holding storms you never created?" And as you look down, the ocean responds, illuminating scenes you buried long ago, the times you laughed so others wouldn't notice your sadness, the times you forgave too quickly to avoid tension, the times you held someone else together while quietly falling apart, and Michael places his hand near your back, not to push you forward, but to steady you, whispering, "This bridge does not lead to fear, it leads to truth," and with every step, you feel a quiet unraveling happening inside you, a melting of emotional knots tied by old expectations, old roles, old patterns of giving more than you received, and the bridge expands into a massive courtyard of light where thousands of lanterns float gently around you, each lantern representing a part of your heart you forgot to honor. The child inside you who never felt fully comforted, the teenager inside you who wished someone would ask how you really felt, the adult inside you who kept choosing strength because no one else stepped in, and as you stand in the middle of the lanterns, they begin to orbit around you, lighting up memories not with pain but with understanding, and God speaks gently, "You were never wrong for feeling deeply, you were just surrounded by people who did not know how to hold depth," and suddenly, the lanterns rise into the sky, forming a constellation shaped like an open doorway, the doorway of your emotional freedom. And Michael gestures toward it with a soft smile, saying, "You are not being asked to fix the past, you are being invited to see it differently," and when you walk toward the glowing doorway, the entire courtyard dissolves into a quiet forest of starlight where every tree holds the echo of a lesson you've learned, the tree of boundaries you're still learning to set, the tree of trust you're learning to rebuild, the tree of self-worth you are slowly reclaiming, the tree of peace you never thought you deserved but now feel yourself reaching for. And as you move through the forest, you notice the ground beneath you becomes softer, easier, as if heaven is cushioning every step, and God whispers, "Child, life does not require you to walk on thorns," and Michael lifts a branch glowing with silver light, touching it to your chest, awakening a memory you forgot, the memory of the version of you who once believed in their own future, who dreamed without fear, who spoke without shrinking, who trusted without overthinking. And that memory fills your entire being with warmth that radiates outward until even the darkest corners of your self-doubt begin to soften, and suddenly the forest parts, revealing a vast floating platform of transparent light, like a floor made of calm water, reflecting your true self back to you, not the self shaped by pressure, not the self shaped by guilt, but the self who has survived everything without losing compassion. And God says, "This is the version of you I am restoring." And as you step onto the platform, it lights up beneath your feet, creating a pathway that extends into an endless horizon of possibility, each step glowing brighter than the last, each light representing a moment you choose yourself, choose peace, choose honesty, choose emotional truth, choose boundaries, choose rest, choose growth, and Michael walks with you in silence, not because he has nothing to say, but because this part of the journey is about you hearing your own heart again. The voice you silenced to keep others comfortable, the voice that now rises gently inside you like a sunrise after a long night, and as the horizon grows wider, brighter, softer, you finally feel something you haven't felt in years, a quiet sense of inner safety, the feeling of finally coming home to yourself, and heaven's final whisper drifts through the glowing air, not a warning, not a threat, but a blessing. "Child, your life begins again the moment you stop abandoning your own soul," and with that, the entire realm folds gently into your chest like a breath drawn out of light, leaving you standing stronger, clearer, calmer, and more whole than you have felt in a very long time. My beloved child, before you take another breath, pause and subscribe to this channel, because the moment your soul arrived here was not random, it was a crossing point between the version of you who has been quietly surviving life and the version of you who is ready to finally breathe in a way you have forgotten. And as you stay with me until the very last word, the symbolic realm unfolds like a soft curtain and reveals a vast glowing horizon where the sky is painted in gold, rose, and quiet blue, as if heaven blended sunrise and sunset together just to honor your presence here. And Archangel Michael walks beside you with gentle footsteps, not holding a sword, not guarding against threats, but offering you the type of calm companionship you never received as a child, the kind that says, "You don't have to do this alone anymore," and I, your Father in heaven, speak into the deepest part of your spirit, saying, "Child, You have carried burdens that were too heavy for too long, and in that instant the ground beneath you transforms into a long illuminated bridge suspended above an ocean made entirely of your unspoken emotions, waves of memories, currents of forgotten dreams, tides of feelings you tucked away to be the strong one, and as you walk, each step brightens the bridge, revealing how many years you stayed silent to avoid conflict, how many times you gave comfort when you needed it. How many nights you cried quietly so no one would worry, and Michael places a gentle hand near your back as if steadying the parts of you that tremble when you are finally seen, whispering, "You have been strong for everyone but yourself," and the bridge opens into a breathtaking celestial field where thousands of glowing petals float in the air like slow-moving fireflies, each petal a piece of truth you once hid. The truth of how sensitive you are, the truth of how deeply you feel, the truth of how much you crave peace, the truth of how long you've been carrying other people's emotions, and as the petals drift around you, they begin forming soft spirals of light that circle above your head, rewriting the story you've believed about yourself, replacing "I am too much" with "I feel deeply," replacing "I must stay quiet" with "my voice matters," replacing "I should accept less" with "I deserve mutual care," and I speak again, this time more tenderly, "Child, your softness was never the problem. It was your audience," and with those words, the petals fall gently to the ground and transform into a long pathway of glowing stones shaped by your potential, confidence, compassion, clarity, courage, creativity, intuition, and emotional intelligence, and as you walk this new path, you feel something inside you shift, as if your ribs are widening to make room for truth, and suddenly the field becomes a grand celestial library with walls made of light and shelves filled with books that carry every moment you've ever lived, and as you move through the aisles, some books radiate warmth, your moments of kindness, resilience, love, and honesty, while others dim softly, your moments of exhaustion, self-abandonment, and the pressure to be perfect, and Michael touches one book gently, causing it to open midair and reveal silver letters. "You do not have to earn rest," and another book opens. "You are allowed to disappoint the wrong people," and a third. "Your worth is not measured by how much you endure." And as these words glow, they rise into the air and enter your chest like warm breaths of truth, and the library dissolves into a symbolic shoreline where the water is calm, reflecting the sky like a mirror, and I tell you, child, this is the place where you finally meet yourself, and on the water's surface you see not your past, not your mistakes, not your fears, but the version of you who has long waited for permission to exist honestly, the version who speaks softly but clearly, who sets boundaries without guilt, who walks away from chaos without apology, who chooses peace without shame, and Michael smiles because he recognizes this version as the true you, the one beneath the masks required by survival, and the ocean glows brighter, showing every moment you chose love, every moment you showed up despite exhaustion, every moment you carried others without knowing who carried you, and God whispers, nothing in your journey was wasted. And suddenly the sky opens into a swirl of gold and white as a massive doorway of light appears before you, not a doorway to threat or urgency, but a doorway to emotional expansion, a doorway to inner restoration, a doorway to becoming someone who finally treats themselves with the same compassion they've given everyone else, and as you step toward it, the entire symbolic universe gathers around you. The petals, the lanterns, the bridge, the books, the ocean, folding themselves into your heart as a single truth. I deserve to live in a way that does not betray me, and as you step through the doorway, The light pours into your chest like warm rain, reminding you that from this moment forward, every step you take can be chosen, not forced. Every breath you take can be soft, not strained. Every decision you make can be honest, not survival-based. And as the realm slowly dissolves back into your present reality, you are left not with fear but with a quiet, unshakable knowing. You are allowed to build a life where your heart is not an afterthought but a home.